Hello. So I know I've been talking about it and posting about it a little bit. I'm going to be posting an application video on my YouTube channel. So this is actually going to be the actual application of the wraps. The first video that I did is talking about the nail preparation. So kind of is going to be coming in two-part video. So again, the first one I'm going to post is about the actual preparation of the nail before you apply the wrap. This will be for the actual application of the wrap itself. So I've already done all the prep on my nails and they're ready to get um, the wrap applied. So I'm going to show you what tools I use and what I have available as I do my application. And then as I'm going through, I'm going to do a full application on one hand so you can see what that looks like. And then as I'm going through, I'll give you tips and things that I find that help with the application and make it a little easier. So the first thing that you'll want to make sure you have some kind of cuticle pusher, just like a purple pusher. I'll show you what this is used for, but you need something like that, and then you're also going to need an orange stick. Um, this is a really good thing to use as well. And then you're going to need some kind of scissors. I just use little manicure scissors. They come in the application kit, or if a lot of people have some. And then you'll want a nail file. This is the Jamberry nail file, so it's got the right consistency and coarseness and everything. Pretty much, if you don't have this, you can use any as long as there's kind of a good amount of grit on it. But the nail file, we'll need that. I usually have some kind of alcohol prep wipe, you can see, or if you want to use, like you could use white vinegar for this part of the preparation if you want to, just as a quick final wipe to get all the oils and everything off your nails. So, you know, just up to you. I also have a glass nail file, so this is, if you can see it here, it comes in this little pouch. It's just a little glass nail file. This will be used at the very end of the application of the wrap just to really smooth the tips and everything. So I'll show you what that's for too when we get there. And then of course I have the wraps. So I'm going to do a mixed manicure. I'll be using Tropical Forest, which is a new wrap in the fall catalog that just came out. It's really pretty. It's kind of reminds me a little bit of snowflakes, a little bit. So, and since it's snowing outside today and it was 70 degrees yesterday, I thought this would be appropriate. So, here's what that looks like. So I've got that, and then I thought it would look pretty paired with lavender. And this is Retired Lavender Sparkle. But we can, if you're looking at getting something like this, and there are some other comparable ones I can show you, but this is Lavender Sparkle. I've used it before, as you can see. So I used it for a manicure before, and you can see there's only a little bit. I only used a couple of wraps here. So alright, so and then the last thing that I need, because I have oily nail beds, um, the standard preparation works, but then I like to follow it up with this. It's called Orly Bonder. This is not a Jamberry product, but it's basically a rubberized base coat. So I'm going to put that on under after I've used the alcohol wipe and then under the wrap, and that's really going to help me get a long-lasting application. And then I have my mini heater. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of point the camera down so you can see what I'm looking at or what I'm doing as I'm going through. And then um, if we need to, come back up here or anything like that, I will do that. Let me just move a couple things around here. Alright, so I'm going to point this down so you can see everything that I'm doing as I go through. And again, I'm going to do the application on one hand. So you can get, because a lot of people when they do application videos, they'll just do like one or two fingers. I want to do a full hand so you can see, for my thumb, I have a specific trick and things like that too. So, alright, so again, I've already prepped my nail, I've moved all the cuticles back. I washed it with Dawn dish soap. I washed the individual nails. What I'm going to do, I'm left-handed typically, or I'm left-handed, so usually I would feel more comfortable applying on my right hand. But one of the tips that I have is when you're doing a manicure, apply with your non-dominant hand first. So I'm going to apply the wraps onto my left hand with my right hand, and then, you know, that way, because typically when you're starting it off, you have a little bit more patience when you're going through, and that's important. Just a little patience will really make it look really nice and really good. So I'm going to start with the application on my right hand, and then by the time I get to, or I'm sorry, application on my left hand, by the time I get to my right hand, it'll be easy. I can just flip them on and it'll be done. So I've done all of my preparation. I'm going to start with my alcohol wipe. So I'll just kind of do this part real quick here. So you can see, you know, here's my nail, my thumbnail, and you want to just wipe it real good, just like this. You want to get all the corners all the way around, anywhere on the surface of your nail you want to try and get. And you just do that for each of your fingers. Just real good, you know, a few seconds, spend a few seconds on each one. Get all the way around the surface of the nail. That one. And then that. Okay. So, and then what I like to do is, since there's still some alcohol on it, I'll just clean my tools off real quick. Just make sure they're all, you know, cleaned off and stuff. It would be the scissors, the pusher, and the orange stick. Okay, so that's done. Next, I'll do my bonder. And this stuff, you just paint it on, like I said, it's basically like a base coat, and it just takes a few seconds for it to dry, like 30 seconds. So I'm going to just start with putting that on, and I've got my wraps available. What I like to do at this point is, right before I start with my base coat, I'll turn on the heater just to give it a couple seconds to warm up. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to move everything down. Okay, so you can see. Alright, so here's my heater. I'm going to turn that on. And you can hear, mine's a little older, so it is a little louder than the regular ones, but hopefully you should be able to hear pretty well. So, let's do this. And you want to make sure with this stuff I found that you get all over the surface of your nail, because sometimes I've had times where I didn't get all the way into the corner, and then it would, that part of the wrap would lift sometimes, and that's just because I have the oily nail beds and everything that's by the application. So just make sure you're getting on there real good, all over, and then I just do that for each of them. And again, it only takes a few seconds to dry enough for you to be able to apply the wrap. And it's not going to dry all the way. It's going to be a little bit sticky, because that's what, you know, that's its job. That's what it's supposed to do. Just finish putting this on here. A bit more there. Just like this. And it's okay if this touches a little bit on your skin, like, you know, this washes off pretty easily after the wrap has been applied, so just put this on here like that. Okay. And then make sure you guys can see everything. So again, getting on all the corners. Okay, so now that's ready. I'm going to set this aside, and I'm going to start with my application. So what I'm going to do is I start with my orange stick. You get your wraps, and I already have my thumbnail. I'm going to start picked out here. You can see I used it from another one, so I'm going to pick this out and use it for this thumb. I'm going to cut this out, because for my thumbnail, I'll show you here in a sec, you just kind of cut it out of here. This is the only one I really have to cut actually out of the sheet. The rest of them I can just lift right off of the sheet. But for my thumbnails, I don't know if you can see real well, but it's flat along the cuticle, my nail. You can see see that there? So this wrap is rounded, so what I have to do for my thumbnails is actually just cut the very tip, the very bottom, just like enough to kind of make it flat but still have some rounded edges. See how that works? So then now I've got a wrap that's going to fit my nail, and I just had to do one little modification. So it's on this clear plastic backing, so you want to take that off of there, obviously, and what I do is I use the orange stick and I just kind of put it between the wrap and the backing, and I kind of push it on so it's stuck on there, and then pull the backing off, and then you've got the wrap. Oh, there you go. Then you've got the wrap itself on your orange stick, and I use it on the flat side. There's a pointy side. There we go. Pointy side and a flat side. So I put it on the flat side. You're gonna heat it, and watch. I want to see if you can see what happens when you heat it. You want to make sure that the part that's going to be on your cuticle is going to be, you know, this way. So you can, it's going to be like this. So you can just put it on your nail, you know, at that point. So the flat part that you've cut that's going to be at the tip of your nail is going to be on the stick, okay? And then when you heat it, you want to heat the side that's going to be on your nail. So the sticky side is going to be the one that you want to heat, because I've seen a lot of people that try and heat the pretty side, and then it's like, well, that doesn't work as well. So see how it curled? See how it curled up like that? That lets you know that it's heated. So then what you do is you line it up with your nail, and you want to get it right next to the cuticle, but not like on your skin. If you need to reposition it a little bit, you can. Okay, so you get the wrap on there. This one's a little crooked. You can rewarm it a little if you need to. But you put the wrap on. You want to try not to touch the back of the wrap that's going to be on your nail, just because, you know, you've got oils on your fingers, it might make it less sticky. So I've got this on here. You're going to push straight in the middle from your cuticle to the tip of your nail, just like this, right in the middle. Push this down. This is going to make sure that you're not getting too many wrinkles or anything like that. So then you do left side, and you do right side, or right and left. However you want to do the sides is fine, but you want to make sure you're starting in the middle, then doing one side, then doing the other, because that's going to make sure that you're not going to get wrinkles or bubbles or anything like that. So you can see, I'll try and put it up real close, I've got it applied here, but there's still a little bit of places that I could use to smooth out, so this is where my pusher comes in. So you can still stick your thumb or your finger back in front of the heat just for a few seconds, and then you just really go along. I like to go along the edges and the sides and push it down so that it really adheres on there pretty well. This one has a little bit of a wrinkle, so I can push that out. I could relift a little bit and push it back down, but because I use the Orly bonder, that doesn't typically work as well for me, lifting and reapplying or repositioning. So this side seems to be coming up a little. You want to make sure the ultimate goal of this is that, you know, you're not going to have lifting on the tips. It's not going to be touching your skin anywhere, you know, so it's going to give you a really good and quality application. So the thing to remember with these is that they are heat and pressure activated, so you want to make sure they stay warm when you're doing the application, and then you're going to use a good amount of pressure, you know, because that's what's really going to make sure that you get that good seal on your nail so that the wrap and application will last as long as possible. Okay, so there's my thumb. Now there's a little bit of a right there. See how it's past where my natural nail is? That part's going to get filed off, but what I want to do is wait until it's cooled So I'm going to do the rest of my hand and then come back and file this. If it's too terribly long, you need to trim it a little bit. That's okay. That's where your scissors would come in, or if you have clippers. But for this, you just want to make sure that you're letting it cool before you're doing the actual filing and finishing of the wrap on your nail. Okay. So I think that one's good. So now I'm going to go with the rest of these. I'm going to talk a little bit about sizing because that one was already kind of sized where it needed to be. But you've got your sheet of wraps that come in multiple sizes, right? So that's your pedicures, these are your manicures. So I know the pinkies for me typically work pretty well as far as the sizing goes. So your ultimate goal, I'm going to try and show this, is see how this thumbnail, there's a little bit of a gap right here. I don't know if you can see it real well. But don't fear the gap, okay? You want to make sure that there is going to be a little bit of a gap on either side of the wrap, because that's going to make sure that it's not touching your skin, and nobody's going to see the wrap or the gap except for you, right? So I can usually do this one for my main finger, and I'll try and get it close. It's real hard to see on here, but I'll show you once I get it off here. So then what I do, so I'm using the third one right here for my pointer finger. So since it's already on the wrap sheet, you just lift it like this, kind of get the orange stick a little bit behind it, press it on, lift it up. So see how it's like, you can cut these out too, like you're like, okay, I know I want to use this wrap, I'm just going to cut it off the sheet. That's okay too, but I think for me this is just the easier way to do it. But you can do this part however you like. So you're going to cut it approximately in half. I mean, you know how long your nails are. Most of these should last you sorry, I can't see it. One wrap itself will last for 2 fingers, right? So, so like I was saying before, I've got my wrap on my orange stick, but see how the round side, it's not going to be easily positioned, so I can lift it up by the flat side that I've just cut and reposition it on the stick so that it's in the right position for me to apply onto my nail. You'll see how I changed that. So then I go in front of my heater, just a few seconds, it curls back. Let's see how it curled. And then I apply it on my nail. Okay, so again, you're lining it up, and I'm trying to get you guys to be able to see this. Center it, line it up, place it on your nail. You can do this. And kind of hold it if you need to, if it sticks to the thing. Okay, so I've got it kind of just lightly placed onto my nail. So from the middle to the tip of your nail, so from the middle of the cuticle to the tip of your nail, and then side and side. Push, good amount of pressure. Put it back in front of the heater, just make sure it's really adhering on there pretty well. So this is the 1, 2, 3 method, so 1 in the middle, 2 one side, 2 or 3 the other side. Okay? So then you can see it looks pretty good on here, and you should be able to see a little bit of a gap on that side. Right here. Let me see if I can get it lined up for you. So a little bit of a gap right there, and a little bit of a gap on the other side. So the wrap is not touching my skin, it's not touching my cuticle at the end here, but it's right next to it, see? So then I'm going to put it back in front of the heater, and I'll kind of push just like this. Make sure I don't have any wrinkles or bubbles on any of the edges or sides, because if you have that, it will snag and they will drive you crazy. So just make sure it's as smooth and flat as possible on your nail. Okay, so that one's pretty good. And again, I've got that excess on the tip. I can trim it, or you can trim it if it's a little bit too long for you, but just make sure you're not filing it or finishing it until you've let it cool a little bit. Okay. So then I think I'm going to do middle finger with this one too. we'll do same thing. I'm going to use this because I know that size typically fits pretty well. There's a little bit of a gap on either side of my nail. I lift off the sheet and cut in half. And see, so far I've only used half of 2 wraps. Okay, and then I reposition it on here, just like that. And then when I heat it, I'm going to heat the side that's going to be on my nail. Right, so the side that was on the backing. Let it curl back a little bit, and then I'll place it on the nail. Hopefully you guys can see this okay. I don't have a super great setup, but this hopefully will give you the idea. Okay, so I've got that just kind of placed on my nail. 1, 2, 3. Right, so middle, side, side. Good amount of pressure, put it back in front of the heat. A little bit more pressure, really get that adhered onto your nail pretty well. Okay, and again, should be able to see right here on the side a little bit of a gap. Hopefully you can see that. These scraps are really pretty. I'm excited. So I've noticed a little bit of kind of wrinkling on the side here, so I'm going to put it back in front of the heater just a couple seconds and then really smooth this edge down real well. Just like this. And see, like I said before, just a little bit of patience with this, you know, and it'll really look nice and last, hopefully should last a long time for you. Alright, so I think that's good. I always check around on both sides, just make sure I've got everything smoothed out pretty well. This one still has a little bit there. And then if you can't quite get in there, you can always switch this so that like you're using the point or the, not the flat side, but the pointed side, and that'll kind of help sometimes too. So I'll put that right in there. Okay, so I've got 3 of them done, and it's only a couple minutes. Now I'm going to go back to my, since it's a mixed mani, go back to my lavender. Let's see here. It might be a little big. So I'm just matching up, sizing it here. I think that's a little big for that nail, but sometimes this one can be a little small. I mean, it is better to err on the side of smaller than bigger, because if it's bigger, it's more likely to touch your skin, right? So, and this one I saved from another one. A lot of people will use them as tips. So I would trim it and it would be like on the tip of my nail as just another way to do a mixed manicure. You know, since I had kind of a good amount left over. So we'll do this. Just like that. Okay. And I flip it around. So again, it's okay to touch the tip, the very, very tip, because that will be filed off. But try not to touch any of the other part that's going to go on your actual nail, because you've got oils on your fingers and don't want to transfer that to the wrap, and then it won't stick as well. So I'm going to put this on. I want to center it. And this is actually a really good tip. So again, I am left-handed, and I'm applying them to my left hand first because, you know, I tend to have a little more patience at the beginning, and then the second half, my second hand, should be much easier. Okay, so I got that one on pretty easily. Put that in front of the heater, and then smooth that. This one actually already looks pretty good. So just, again, make sure there's a lot of pressure on there. Okay, so we've got 4 of the 5 done. Yay! Alright, so the last one I'm going to do, back to my little kind of snowflake, pretty snowflake pattern, orange stick, lift the wrap off of the sheet, cut it. Usually from my pinkies I can get just from one wrap I could get 3 applications because they're so long and my pinky nails are pretty small. So that just makes it a little easier, you know, to save some of them if you really want to for maybe a 3rd application. So you get even more out of it. Just like that. And then do my full application. So pinkies can be a little bit tricky, but I think I got it. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. See how that's on there? And I know it probably looks easier, you know, when the first few times you do it, it's kind of like, what in the heck is going on? But it's just like even with nail polish and painting it straight and all that, it takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you get it down, you know, I've done this many times now, but once you get it down, then it just kind of becomes second nature. So, smoothing this out a little bit. Okay, just like that. So I think that's on there pretty well. Yep. Okay. So, I'm going to turn my heater off because I'm done with that part for now. I'm going to go back and do my second hand here in a minute. But now what I want to do is kind of finish it and file. Okay, so I have, if you can see the excess, makes you look like you have really long nails. But the excess is on the tip there, so that part needs to come off. I would say that's probably too long to file, so I'm going to trim it. Let me show you what you do. So you just kind of cut right above the tip of your nail. You don't want, I mean, if you use clippers, you can clip the tip of your nail with the wrap. That's okay. Like, it'll give you a smooth finish, but see how it's still there? You can see my nail, but it's just a lot shorter, so that's going to be easier to file. So I'm going to do that with these as well. Just kind of cut them down a little bit so that they're easier to file. And then these little scraps, you know, since they've already been heated and applied, you probably don't want to save them because you know, if you've touched them and stuff as well. Just kind of take that little piece off. Cut a little bit off of here. Just like that. And then for the thumbnail, I'm going to cut this one too a little bit. We're almost done, guys. Thanks for sticking with me on here. I just really wanted to give you guys a good application video so you can see what I do and, you know, tips and tricks and stuff to make it as pretty and last as long as possible. So, alright, so I started with my thumbnail. I've got it trimmed. Now what I want to do is file, okay? So, if you think about it, you've got, you know, the tip. This is where you can have some lifting if you're not careful, okay? These are sparkle wraps, all of the ones that I'm wearing right now. So, they're a little bit thicker than some of the other wraps. So you just want to think about, you know, the thickness of your wrap a little bit as you're going to file. So, because you have to be careful with your tip, you're not going to go straight across like this. You're not going to go up and down. You're going to go straight down. Okay, so tip of the nail, straight down. So down, take it away, bring it back, straight down. Again, not up and down, just down like this. Okay, you just kind of go back and forth along the tip of the nail. You don't want too much pressure, because if you do, you know, if you do it too hard on this step, then that can actually cause it to kind of rip a little bit onto the nail, and then now you have to redo it because, you know, it wouldn't look as good and it wouldn't last as long. So not too much pressure, but not too light either. So you just kind of, takes a little practice to figure it out. So see how it's starting to kind of peel away like that? You can see that. That's what you're trying to accomplish, okay? You don't want to pull it just in case it's still attached too much that it would rip. So you just kind of really try and file it until it kind of comes off on its own. But I've noticed sometimes on the sides it can take a little longer. So there, see, that came off of there just like that. It's still attached a little bit. Oops. There you go. See, it's got that piece right there. So it's still attached a little bit on this side. So you can go at an angle, like a 45-degree angle like this, just on the sides, like on the very edges of your nail. Because see how it's got like a little, there you go, a little jaggy piece right here. Your goal is to get rid of all the jaggy pieces. Because again, they're going to snag if you leave that stuff on there. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit on this side. And again, I'm right under the nail. I'm not going back and forth, but I'm just kind of really keeping it. And then you can kind of finish it up just like this. Okay, so then it's done. You can see that right there. See how nice that looks? So you do the same thing for the other ones. Just to give you an idea, because I'm only applying the wraps on one hand for this video, what I would normally do is leave them on this hand to cool more, do the application on this hand, and then come back and file. But for the interest of this video, I'm just going to go ahead and show you, you know, finish the application on the one hand first. And then I'll go back and do the other one later and post some pictures. Alright, so coming off there, you can see. And then again, I can kind of go on the side a little bit, and then it comes right off. See? Boop. So let me get this side a little bit more over here, just like this. Okay. So then just file it a little bit more. Make sure that tip is as smooth as possible. And what you can do, because sometimes it'll be like underneath, it can be a little, like, you know, when you file your nail, it can look a little, or feel a little kind of jaggy. So you can file underneath if they're long enough. If they're not long enough, you really won't have this problem if they're not long, but just kind of making sure that it's not gonna, you know, if you rub it on your shirt or something, it's not gonna catch or make that tip lift. So you don't want to overfile either, right? So I think that looks pretty good. And then I just got 3 more here. Alright, just kind of file that right off. Just keep doing it. And again, I'm going to say it again, just a little bit of patience really goes a long way, you know. So most people aren't really used to kind of doing their nails maybe like this, but then when you try these out, the end result and how pretty they look, it's really going to make it worth it. I have a customer that applied some nail wraps on November 5th, and today is the 12th? No, today's the 19th. So they've been on her nails for 2 weeks, and she said they're still looking great. So they really can last a long time. Okay, there we go. Got that one done. Okay. Then we have this. I'm just gonna go back and forth across the tip of the nail. Make sure you're getting all the edges and the sides and the front. And you just wait for it to kind of lift off of there a little bit. See how it's like this one's still attached on this one piece. I don't want to pull that because it might, you know, rip the wrap. So I just filed a little bit more and then it came right off. Get my edge a little bit here. Just like that. Okay, there we go. And then my pinky. There we go. See, this one's, I'm not trying to pull it because it's still attached pretty well, so I'm just trying to lightly file that part off, and then I can go here. There it goes. And it's off. And then I'll get underneath a little and straight down again. Just checking this one, it looks a little, my nail looks crooked, not the wrap, just the nail like I filed it crookedly. But that's okay. There we go. There more. Okay. Just a little part right here. Okay. So now we have a fully finished one hand manicure. You can see all the nails there, and then thumbnail. So that's all you really have to do. Now the glass nail file, like I had mentioned earlier, this is gonna help really make that tip very smooth. Okay, so for these, it is actually okay to go back and forth. Still just kind of try and be under the nail a little bit and then straight down. But it just really helps because it's glass, helps make it really smooth. And then you just do the same kind of thing, and you can notice a difference right away how smooth it is compared to the regular file. I just kind of do like underneath a little bit, just like this, just to get any of that uneven parts off. That. And then like this. So there is another step you can do if you want to, and again, it's not required. Most people will be fine and don't need to do it. But for me, what I like to do is after I've done all of this, I follow up with one last step, which is what I call the baggie method. And basically, what you're going to do is take some kind of plastic sandwich bag or something like that. You're going to wrap it over your nail, and then you're going to put it in front of the heater. It only takes like 2 seconds, and then it gets really hot. But that just you're pulling it over the over your nail, so that gives it some more pressure, even more pressure than you could even do, and then that heat, and then that just really helps seal the tip. I don't always do it every time, but just sometimes, you know. So there we go. So I've got my finalized nails, and then these little scraps. Just throw those away, and it's done. So let me pull this back up here, so you can see the wrap. I think application looks really nice on there. And then what I'll do is, once I'm done with my other hand, because it's naked, I will post some pictures of that. So I hope this was helpful for you guys, just to kind of see what an application looks like, some of the tips and tricks that I talked about as we went through. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.